Right, hey, what's up, everyone? Here we are. Just make sure everything looks good. So we are going to take a look at this. Now, one of the things that I might do when a shot like this with a huge upslope, I may go 1-iron. Now, what I have, and one of the things that I like about the 1-iron here is it's going to kind of keep it out of the wind. So if I want to play less wind, it does make it easier to do. And what playing less wind will do, especially, let's say we had a straight side wind, and you can see that it's almost up in that last hole up there, like in that last little funnel. Keeping it down out of the wind is going to make it much easier. So we'd either want to go javelin with a 6-wood. With a tailwind situation, I'm half tempted to even go 1-iron here because I can see with this upslope, it's not going to roll out very much. And what it's going to do is it's going to make playing the wind a lot easier. So I do see maybe just a touch of uphill, but you'll see that the 1-iron and the 6-wood land relatively similar. The only big difference is going to be ball flight. So my 1-iron's barely going to be affected by the wind, and that's one of the main reasons that I would like to do this, is because it almost gives me the security of kind of playing kind of like a smaller wind, like a 2-3 wind, for example, in this case. Now, granted, it's going to push a little bit, but if I was to use a 6-wood, it's going to have much more of that wind effect. So it thus makes it kind of a harder shot to gauge, where you have to be more in line. There's like more learn curve for learning how to play the 6-wood here than it is the 1. So I don't think a 1-iron is going to get 10 yards of extra 10 yards here. I would imagine that it might roll out to say, or it might land at maybe, and there's a little bit of uphill here. I'm thinking maybe 236, maybe 237. It's going to almost be like half as much of wind. So if it lands at 237, I might be able to get it to jump forward with a grabber. Or similarly, what I might be able to do, maybe it lands a little bit farther than that, and I'm just kind of underestimating just a touch. But I know one thing for sure is it's going to land short. So I'd have like kind of two decisions here. I can either try to use a grabber, or I could try to go up a tee and use a sniper. So, just for this first time, since it's the first time, let's just assume that it's going to, let's just say this is going to land right around 238, for example. Is it going to scoot up 8 yards into an upslope? I would say typically it won't, but with a tailwind, it might. So even this, I'm thinking I might need 1 extra tee. So this is going to add what, a couple yards? Was that 2 yards, 3 yards? So 2 to 3 yards, and that might make all the difference here. So I'm just going to kind of go with this. And as I mentioned, with this 1-iron, one of the reasons that I like it is the fact that it does stay out of the wind, and it makes it a little bit easier. Now, granted, I'm going to have to, kind of learn a little bit about the way that the kind of holes react. But for a first attempt, I feel like, this is at least a decent effort. And we can essentially learn from this and then try to improve and kind of refine our method. But, all in all, I'm probably going to switch between 6-wood and 1-iron from this tee box pretty regularly, just depending on the wind that I see. If the wind was really small, one of the things that I might like to do is I might actually like to go 6-wood. And, so for example, I could kind of interchange this shot with a 6-wood and just hit a javelin or a basic ball. And what it should do is it should roll up the upslope a little bit, kind of similar to how this grabber is going to. So once I get the distance control of this grabber shot, I should be able to kind of get it to run up the hill kind of in the similar fashion that a 6-wood basic ball would do. They're going to run out very similarly, but I'm going to have to learn more about the distance control before I can get there. So let's go ahead and try this shot out here and just see what it looks like. And as I mentioned, that actually looks really good. So you can see, and as I mentioned, that's going to be very similar to what a 6-wood's going to do with a javelin or grabber. But what I did is I kind of used a cheaper option. So you can see I was able to go iron, and it did almost exactly what I said. Now, I wasn't paying attention to the number, but I can go back and kind of stop the video and see how far did that actually land. And I can kind of get a general sense, but you can see my distance control was perfect. I was almost able to get that to roll in. And this is the first time that I played the hole. So with all things considered, and especially picking up those great shot points, it's going to be a good chance for me to win this round. Because I'm going to essentially have tiebreakers on everybody. So let's go ahead and, jump into this next hole, and I'll see you guys in a moment.